I think it's frozen my end. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard the bus. Yes, it's the Monday Club. Connor Carr, Regan Stevenson. It's been a week, or a weekend, you could say, of absolute drama. From the joy of trebles to the sadness of Ange leaving to the absolute curveball of the return of Rodgers, perhaps. We're going to discuss it all today. Never a dull moment being a Celtic fan. I love it, man. I love this shit. And I know a lot of people are in disarray. I know a lot of people are upset, angry, frustrated. But hopefully, when you jump on the bus, we can soothe your pain, soothe your worries. And this will be a wee bit of therapy, if you like, for those that are in a dark place right now, worried about the future of the team. Right, okay, we'll do all that good stuff. Do give us a wee like right now. Hit the like button, please. If you want to give us a wee share, if you want to slag my hair, that's all good as well. If, though, you want to become a Boise Bus member, like the return of Chunks in My Trunks, like David Ferguson, like Teresa Lyle Photo, like Joseph McGonigal, like Martin Kay, and so many others of you. It is $1.99 a month, but it's totally optional. Remember that, guys. The content is always free. Also, remember our sponsors. So, you know, if you've had a bit of a low weekend because of Ange and you're struggling to perform, get hard on for Brendan Rodgers coming in. And go to edpharmacy.co.uk, erectile dysfunction tablets, and of course, remember, same-day delivery, 7 days a week in certain central Scotland areas. Next day delivery, orders are taken up till 6 p.m. Big shout out to ED Pharmacy. Yes, right, okay. I think that covers all that. I've forgotten PieSports.com. Oh, bus 10 at the checkout as well. 10% off for ED Pharmacy. And PieSports.com, a tasty 12.5%. And we need to give a shout out to Steve O'Matt. Can you remember what he put in the group chat the other day about Pie Sports?
No.
Mate, he ordered like $50 kebab pies or something, mate.
Oh, aye.
Like 50 or something.
So if you fancy going to Steve's for your dinner, Steve, you get a party for 50.
I don't know how big his freezers are, man. He must have the biggest freezers in the world. Anyway, let's talk about the football. I don't know about that. Come on. Postecoglou's still Celtic manager. As things stand, Regan Stevenson, I'll come at you.
Yep.
As things stand, he is still the Celtic boss. It does look like a matter now, though, only of time. It's just a case of, what is it they say, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, all that sort of thing. Now, you've got a vested interest in this, don't you? Because, of course, as you exclusively revealed on the channel 2 weeks ago.
Monday Club.
2 weeks ago in the Monday Club, and you told us about this City group, like, which no one seemed to pick up on. And then just a couple of days ago, people started joining those dots where the bus had joined them already. So that was a good exclusive from you, mate. And it was actually, when I look back, it was the one time the live chat kind of started turning their head, going, oh, we're panicking now. And I know a lot of it was in jest. But before that, everyone had just been, no way, won't happen, nada, he's going nowhere.
Yep.
Suddenly, when you told us that, there was a bit of a change because obviously you're a bit of a Spurs fan as well, Regan, right now. I take it the word around the campfire down there is this is a done deal, it's just waiting in the wings.
I think it is. And I think Ange will be a very good manager for Spurs, first of all, but I think it's very disappointing that he's leaving Celtic. But like I said yesterday, I think Ange's as much as Ange's been good for Celtic, Celtic's been very good for Ange Postecoglou as well, because it's been a very good platform for him to go into Europe and say that this is what I can do. But first off, I want to just see on the bus as well. I'm quite disappointed that the number of Celtic fans on social media or so that have been very, very disparaging in the last 24 hours of Ange Postecoglou, because for me, I think Ange's won a treble. He's won 5 out of 6 trophies. I know people are saying one more crack at Europe, but what more can Ange possibly do? I mean, you heard Martin Keown this morning. He was saying that Scottish football is not good enough. Talking about his boy used to play in Scottish football. And I think Spurs is the perfect opportunity for Ange Postecoglou, because let's be honest about it. I don't think Ange is going to get a better job if he leaves Celtic than Spurs, because I don't think Liverpool, I don't think Manchester United
No.
would take a chance for Postecoglou. I think he knew on Saturday night that he was going. I think what he's did is he's done it very well, very professionally, and I think we just need to appreciate what Ange did. One more thing I'm going to want to say is I think what Brendan Rodgers and what Ange Postecoglou is showing Celtic supporters is we need to treat Ange the same way that we treat Jota. Well, Jota's here for 2 years. We enjoy him while he's here, and then see when he goes. Don't get bitter about it. Just enjoy them while they're here.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more because, Connor, I went through some examples of it. Christopher Ayer went to Brentford. Fraser Forster went to Southampton. You know, I think the Tierney one was an exception through because it was Arsenal. And even then, that was probably the only one that there was a bit of bitterness about. Whereas all the rest of the guys we go, they get a chance to play in the Premier League. They join a squad of 25, by the way. You know, it's not even like they're guaranteed to play. Whereas when it's a manager, it's the top gig, an English Premier League club. And yet we seem to then flip it into all the attractive bright lights the Premier League now mean nothing. Yet if Chris Ayer goes to Brentford, you know, a summer or two ago, Ryan Christie goes to Bournemouth, you're like, nobody cares, mate. Aye, good on them. That's what anyone would do in that situation. You can't have your cake and eat it, mate. And I just feel right now, as much as Regan thinks Postecoglou will do a good job for Spurs, I will probably have a bit of a vested interest watching it, and I will hope that he does well, because I'm not going to be bitter like that. But it's now, we're in a stage where, because he is going, there is going to be that side corner towards Postecoglou and stuff. I think we need to get real and start looking at, firstly, the way he left Yokohama Marinos after 2.5 very successful years isn't too dissimilar to the way he's maybe leaving us after 2 successful years. He has left Celtic, Connor, in a night and day position from where they were when he took over. It's not even comparable. We have a squad full of assets. We already now have a mindset with these players, the vast majority of which will be hoping stay beyond this summer. They've got now a winning mentality, mate. They have a style of play that they'll be able to adapt to whatever manager comes in. They have regained the faith from the fans, and season tickets will sell out. It's the second year in a row of group stage Champions League football. There is a pot of cash, real money, sitting in the bank. Not overdraft money, real money sitting there in the bank. Celtic as an attractive proposition in terms of getting an ex-manager have never been in a better place. Guess who I thank for that? Postecoglou.
Aye. The one thing I will say is I think the examples you gave there, Barry, in terms of like Ayer and Christie, I feel like those, and Edward, I feel like the only reason there wasn't much bitterness about them leaving is because they were kind of at the end of their rope, I'd say, with their Celtic career, and a lot of people kind of thought Andrew was kind of just starting, or maybe, you know, was going for one more season, but yeah, there's obviously a lot of things going on. People being very, very like harsh, very disparaging. Oh, he's worse than Rodgers. People like now the patter that the Rangers fans are coming about, our own fans are starting to use it as well. And see if you're one of these people, right, who, if a man who came in, rebuilt the club from the ashes, helped us win 2 league titles, a cup double in his first season, brought in amazing players who we would never have known about if it was your usual fucking candidates coming in, and then his second season went and won a treble, right? See if you're still slating that man because he wants to go on and better his career and set up his family for life. See, do yourself a favour, walk outside and see that green stuff that's or the green grass, go and fucking touch it. Get real. Honestly, these fucking people that live in Cloud Cuckoo Land absolutely blows my mind. Football is not the way it was in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Football is a different game. It's about money. It is one of the most cutthroat businesses you've ever seen in your life, more so in the Premier League, right? Ange hasn't been sitting on in this all week, rubbing his hands behind the scenes saying, oh, I can't wait to just fuck off after this cup final. All the Celtic fans will be raging. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to be making mega dosh. It's not personal. Do you know what I mean? And people don't understand that. And more so Celtic fans, because we're so personally invested in the management and what they bring. And especially if they're like Ange, who say the right things, who bring in the right players, who concocts the right attitude and gets the right results, then people are going to naturally gravitate towards that, and they're going to be upset when he leaves. That's natural. I understand that. But see if a man who's come in and has brought us nothing but success and good times, if your response to that isn't, oh, well done, hopefully you do well, thank you for what you brought us, you're to turn around and slag him and just say, he's shit, he's a rat, he's this, he's that. Honestly, you're an absolute fucking dauber, and I want nothing to do with you.
Very good. I didn't know what way that was going to go, Colin. I didn't know if Andrew was going to end up getting both barrels or whether it was going to be the annoying fan base. You keep us hanging on your every word, big man. When it comes to the situation I'm talking about, that he's left us in Regan and stuff. Is that your phone vibrating?
No, good.
But see, when it comes to actually looking at people wanting to talk about reading between the lines, or we were discussing on the bus before, hidden in plain sight, things like this, right? But see, when you actually look at it, he did that interview. I was talking about this other day with you. He did that interview and he said, we sort of strengthened last summer. And I knew when he said that, I went, I know what you mean. When you look at the tools Celtic have given Ange after one successful year, has that been enough? And does this guy find it more attractive to go to the EPL because of the restrictions you end up finding yourself placed upon being Celtic boss? Or is this just a case of just call it as it is? The EPL is the way forward for every single manager in Europe. They all want to go to that league. They all want a bit of the riches. They all want to compete in the most competitive league in Europe. And that's where they're going to earn their fame and fortune. Is that just that? Yep. It doesn't really matter what Celtic offer. I've seen some wild takes, Regan, that he was offered, I don't know, what is it I read, like 30 million transfer kitty, 500 grand investment here, a 5,000, there was a capacity of 5,009 women's stadium getting built or something. Where the fuck get all this from? I wonder if we need to accept, no matter what restrictions we've put on Ange, when Spurs came a calling, there was only going to be one answer anyway. And I know people didn't want to believe that at the time, but he's also signposted this to us. Don't fall in love with your heroes. And I've been pretty consistent on that throughout on the old bus. I've said, I think you've misjudged this guy. He's not your uncle. He's not the big jolly green giant on the sweet corn. I just love Celtic and that. He's an elite football manager who wants to compete in the elite leagues. And that's where his career trajectory's taken him.
See, the thing that really is a great thing for me, Russell, right, is see over the past 2 years, I think Ange Postecoglou has taught this board so much, because let's not underestimate how much Ange has played in recruiting players and buying players and selling players, and also in making the club feel like it's a proper club again. Because don't forget, when Neil Lennon was ending his career, everybody was moaning about the recruitment policy, the board, the manager, the youth squad. They were saying we need to bring through more players. I think what Ange's done is he's like made the whole club think it's a big club again, and that's to me I'm not annoyed about Ange, because what I'm focused on now is see the Celtic board. What are they going to do? They need to be proactive and see everything that Ange showed us, all these markets, trying to take the squad to Asia, to do a friendly in Australia, to go to South Korea, to get more supporters, to try and get more revenue, to doing lots of things. These are things that the Celtic board need to take on board and do it more often and bag the next manager, because I don't want to say it right now, Russell, but I think the next appointment needs to be someone that is better than Ange Postecoglou, or someone that we can believe in, because I think it needs to be someone like Brendan. There you go. It needs to be Brendan for me.
Yeah, we are going to talk about Brendan, and we are. And what I think the point you're trying to make, though, Regan, is very important. What you're saying, if I'm right, I hope I'm right, is that you're wanting someone to come in with a bit of stature that can actually hold the board to account and say, you're going to need to give me certain tools to do this job properly. And here's my vision for it. Are you on board or are you not? And that
Do you ever
takes someone...
Do you ever remember the Michelin interview when Celtic were when Ange did an interview when Celtic
Yep.
got put in the Champions League, right? And Ange was saying, "Oh, we're not far off," but he was saying the board need to support me, the board need to help me, and I'm telling them
He
right
said,
now,
he said, maybe I've not been forceful enough in my
yes.
views of you. That'll change. That's what he said. It was class.
So I think Celtic need a manager that's not just going to go in there and go, "I'm happy to beat Celtic and I'll just accept what's there." They need to go and push and try and get the best support. So these fans in the park, as much as we've won 5 trebles out of 7, Celtic want to push on as a club. We want to do better in Europe and do better in Scotland as well.
Of course we do. Of course we do. But what we're going to need to have is a board that revisits how its approach is going to go, because I think the foundations are there for us to forget about being in a marginalised league in Europe and going, well, do you know what? We've managed to, with those odds against you, create a football club that has real cash reserves in the bank, that has a customer demand of 60,000 or 52,000 season tickets a year, which is unbelievable when you think about it. If this is such a backwater we're led to believe, we release about 17 football strips a year and they get lapped up. The club has definitely got revenue streams, foundations in place, and assets, as I keep saying, on the park that either bring you quality during the 90 minutes or will bring you a shed load of money if we're to sell them. And I think there's quite a few of them that would cost a pretty penny. So when we look at the actual optics of what Celtic are right now in terms of attracting a new manager, whatever it may be, I feel like right now this should be such an exciting time to want to put your name, your hat in. What is it they say? Throw your hat in the ring, something like that, to become the next Celtic manager, because it's such in my opinion, an attractive proposition to take. Now, one of the things about that is it looks very attractive, but does it come, Connor, to a point where no matter who you are, whether you're Martin O'Neill, whether you're Brendan Rodgers, or whether you're Ange Postecoglou, it gets to the stage where you just say enough is enough. I cannot work with this board anymore. Or not necessarily can't work with this board anymore, but they just don't get it. They don't share the same views as me, and they don't see the same bright future that I do. Is there a bit of that where Celtic are going to need to change this time? Because I think, in my opinion, 2 years, 3 year shelf life, by the way, is becoming more and more the norm, right? We shouldn't be surprised that Leeds United had 3 managers this season and one campaign still went down. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's get real here. We've had real success in 2 years, and then the manager goes. Shit happens, right? But it was during a successful period. And he's waiting to the end of the season, so we're in a better place. But I just feel like whoever it is that's coming in, they're going to need to get assurances, and they're going to need to get some guarantees off this board. Now, if I were a manager, which thankfully I'm not, but if it were me going in, I'd be like, well, the word round the campfire is you tie one of their hands behind the manager's back, after season 1. It all looks rosy in the garden, and then for whatever reason, it seems to go astray. And I just wonder if their attitude is as important as whoever the next manager is that Regan's talking about with the stature and the dream. I think it's a two-way thing here, Connor. I think the board's viewpoint has to move and align more with what a modern manager's will, and then we'll have that sort of perfect marriage. Whereas right now I feel it's all about what the manager does. Look at our recent successes. It's always been about what the manager's done, not necessarily felt like it's all in tandem with the board towards the end. And I just think they just need to accept it. Like, don't be dinosaurs. Just open your eyes a wee bit. Listen to football guys. Let football guys make football decisions, and you start nodding your head a wee bit more rather than looking at bonus and balance sheets.
Yeah, you could argue that that's kind of happened the past couple of seasons. Obviously, while he hasn't necessarily signed anybody for any massive amounts of money, bar CCV and Jota, and they were already proven assets to the club. The club wouldn't have minded forking out the money for them because they proved the season before what they could do. then with Ange's, he did shop in really cheap markets, but however, he did get them to listen to him. It was very rare that he
Was
kind
that
of got.
because they were desperate, though, Connor? The desperate people do desperate things. See, when you think about that situation Ange took on board, they had no choice but to back him, mate.
Yeah, with the shit show of the season we had before, it was very much right, whatever works for you, we'll go with that because we need to get back to, being the top dogs again. And yeah, we need to kind of have that again. Although I don't know how desperate they're going to think things are with this. Although I feel the support are kind of making things out to be very desperate now, like saying what the hell's going to happen? Is Kyogo going to Tottenham? Where's Satata going? Is John Kennedy? Is Gavin Strachan taking all his laptops away from Celtic Park? We don't know what's happening. The board may see that, probably won't, but they may see the overreaction. And I don't blame people for having a reaction. And I'll just say, I was saying earlier, people, you can be upset. I wasn't saying anybody can't be upset. I'm upset. Russell's upset. Regan's upset. We're all upset. Nobody's happy he's away.
I think you did say I want nothing to do with you.
No, but no, I don't want anything to do with the people who are being very personal towards the man and
I don't like that
and being disparaging and that. I don't want anything to do with those people. See, if you're upset by maybe, people were misunderstanding, and my words very much were misunderstanding Angie's as well throughout the season. So, if you're being very personal to them, I don't like that. I don't want anything to do with you. But if you're upset, I understand it because I am as well.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
See, there's so many attractive things happening. We've got a tour of Asia coming up, which could mean even more massive amounts of revenue coming at the club, which also loosens up the purse strings. There's so many of these attractive things for managers to come into, and that the board will have, the money's there. There is no chance now the board can't say, oh yeah, we can't give you this extra 300 grand for this player because, oh yeah, we don't know. The money's there, we know the money's there, and there's more coming in. There's more coming in this window, believe me that. Money for Jeremy Frimpong, Kieran Tierney, whoever goes this summer as well, the tour to Asia. There's stuff there for the manager, whoever it may be, whether it's Brendan Rodgers, Jesse Marsh, Knutson, whoever, comes in, and there's a chance for the new manager to come in, whoever it may be. Well, I think it'd be Brendan, right? Because he has history and he knows how this board works. He can get their balls in a vice this summer, right? And say, you fucking did me dirty last time, and look what happened. I fucked off, and look at the reaction I had. Give me what I want. You're not giving me Jeremy Toljans and the Ukrainian boy.
Oh, look at Abelgard's, mate.
Abelgard.
Let's get real here. Look at
that Scott Bain, a 3-year deal for no fucking reason. Honestly.
No one knows that either. I know.
Do you know what I mean?
No, you make good points. David Kelly, when he says, who cares about revenue? We don't spend it anyway. Lawwell's done a number on our support. Money isn't relevant when it isn't spent. That is a quote and a half. Money isn't relevant when it isn't spent. Very good. Quote of the day. I like that because I think we need to be real here. Like, when you look at that summer that we sort of strengthened, and that is me quoting the manager, and he still is the manager now, we need to look at that and go, we can't just carry on like this. We have got to start really supporting someone. If you really do think they're your guy, then you need to act like they're your guy. And not just.
Everybody was going nuts last season when we spent money on Vickers and Jota, but at the end of the day, me and you said on a Sunday show one day, Russell, that Vickers and Jota, but they were already agreed from the season before because the clause was already there. So, and I think if you look at last summer, Moy, Bernabei, Abelgard, these are three of the main players that we bought last summer, if you don't count Jota and Carter Vickers. And if you're looking at that for Angie's point of view, you're thinking, what the hell am I doing here? Because the Bernabei's clearly not up to it. Abelgard is sent back on loan. Jens, who everybody thought was going to be good, was sent back on loan. So he's clearly not been backed.
Yep, I agree with that. And I think that's We need to take the misty eyes away, do you know what I mean, and start thinking everything. What annoys me is we get so distracted as a fan base by 3 points, by winning a domestic trophy. We're not looking at the bigger picture still. And I felt the windows, I said it months ago, I felt the windows, the more you analysed them, the more underwhelming they were. And they were nowhere near as compelling as what we've seen before. January actually wasn't that bad because Johnston came in. But undeniably, we made a profit that window. We were in a position of strength. How could Celtic come away from a transfer window? I'd say they've strengthened and they make a profit. I mean, it's just like, that's not really back in the manager, is it? And it's just, eventually, I think it got to a stage, the well went dry with the J League as well. And that was our template was, oh, go on, if you want a player, just go to that league, because we can afford them. And I just think eventually you go, look, free transfers of Kobayashi and stuff maybe isn't going to strengthen the first team. And I think any ideas of new signings for us in the last 12 months should have been aimed at first team strengthening, not squad strengthening. I think Kobayashi has came in as a squad strengthening player, not first. That's just one example. I'm not picking on him, by the way. We're going to need to have a debate about the elephant in the room, Connor. We're going to need to talk about the rumours that are circling. His names came up in the live chat so many times. If you can indulge me, and I'm going to sound like a fanning here, right? I promise you, on one of the nostalgias, not because I'm ITK or kid or I've got sources like these plant pots out there who just want to sound so self-important. It's embarrassing. Forwarding silly wee WhatsApp messages, and to sign new deal. Don't usually give out my sources, but it's someone connected to the club that's told me, oh, shut up. You don't know nothing, mate. Do you know what I mean? Same way as I don't. But I did make a mad speculative prediction on Nostalgia about 9 months ago, Connor. And I said, it wouldn't surprise me if the situation was he was free, that Brendan Rodgers became our next manager again. Everyone's like to chat, get that to fuck, get that idea to fuck. I was like, I just feel he's got the brass neck to do it. And I also think he has the spell, the powers that he could have his eating out his hand again in no time. I just think he's got that knack. His name is, he's the favourite for the bookies. He is the favourite to be the next manager of Celtic. Obviously that can change. It's very early days right now. And Ange, as I say, as far as I'm aware, unless the situation's changed during the show, is still the Celtic boss. How would you feel though, Connor, of probably in your supporting life, the most successful Celtic manager you've seen, who left, the only Celtic manager ever to leave Celtic midway through a season off their own accord? Where would you be at if the pearly whites were back, putting the white into the green and white of Celtic, mate?
I'd be buzzing. I'd be very, very happy to have him back. I know people hold a grudge in that, what he did, and I didn't agree with it at the time, but then further and further he went on, more and more information came out, and you can kind of understand why he did it. You don't have to agree with it. You can understand why. Same way that you can't agree with what Ange's doing, but you can very much understand it. And look, Brendan was a brilliant manager for us, and people from this side, if people who are wanting to, dismiss what he did because they don't like him, whether they're from this side or from the other side of the city, saying, all he had to do was beat a shite Rangers side and the rest of the league sorted itself. Well, he got, a couple of okay results in Europe. He got 2 draws in Man City in the Champions League, who are arguably the best football team in the world right now. He brought in brilliant players. He had Scott Brown and James Forrest playing the best, footballer of their career. And I'm just ready to buckle myself and wait for the madness to start again, and I'll love it. The stories you're going to tell. Can you imagine we go on this tour of Japan with Big Brendan back in charge? They'll just be like, so I was in the middle of Tokyo fighting off 50 Yakuza with my Gucci belt, and that you'd be like, that's fucking brilliant, man. That's fucking brilliant.
That's not the most impressive in the world.
So I hope Brendan's packing his pearly whites and his fake bait and his Celtic scarf. So I'll be happy to see him back, because you know what? This is the one thing you can guarantee, right? If Brendan comes back, is he'll get the side winning. He'll keep that winning mentality going. Do you know what I mean? And people can say what they want about his football at the end of his third season. Those first 2 seasons under him, nobody could touch him.
Yeah.
Nobody could touch him. He got a fucking invincible treble. Invincible treble. People forget that. Ange's just done a treble. Wasn't invincible doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
so
here's the thing as well. I think that goes under the radar, and I'm actually seeing some comments now talking about like he was a European flop. He navigated twice, 2 out of 2 Champions League playoff rounds, and we had to do 2 qualifiers in each of them. And that seems to just completely go under the radar that week, and he's described as a flop in Europe. And yet I'm like, well, wait, did he get more than 2 points in the Champions League group?
I remember when Celtic went to Mönchengladbach and they drew 1-1. McGregor scored a penalty, but Celtic should have won that night. Celtic were great. They beat Anderlecht away in Europe when Tierney and League Paddy Roberts scored.
First ever Champions League away win?
Scott Sinclair,
Champions League away win? Or was it still? It was Lenny Spartak Moscow, wasn't it? No, it was Lenny Spartak Moscow. I'm wrong. But you beat Anderlecht 3-0. Sorry, I'm interrupting talking utter shite. Apologies.
No, but I think Brendan would be a great shout, and I think people just need to go on it, because I'm thinking, as much as we don't want to say, I think Michael Beale will be a big challenge next year for Rangers, because I know Kenny Miller's been out saying they were top of the table and all that, so we need to do well and get up there next season. So I think in terms of Brendan, I think Brendan's the type of guy that will relish a challenge, and he'll be the first to admit that when he was here, the Rangers team wasn't half as good as it is now. I'm not saying they're great, but they had Graham Murty doing dances at the side of the park when he missed a goal. So I think if you're Brendan, you can only relish it as well, especially when you've got direct entry into Champions League and you've got a big chance. But like, it's no way he's doing what Ange's doing, where he's 25 points behind Rangers and things are all bad. What he's potentially doing is he could possibly do a treble next season or a double. And I think the fact as well is we need to get a high club, I would say a big manager, because we want to try and keep our best players. So I think Brendan would maybe try and say to Jota, look, this is the best place for you to be. Same with Rio Hatate, same with Kyogo. I think see if we go backwards and we appoint somebody that's not as high caliber, then I think you risk losing the Kyogo and maybe the Matt O'Reilly. So I think it's important that you keep a very high manager so the players will stay, and then they can feel part of something.
Well, I think that's true as well, because you're wanting to inspire the current players in the squad, Connor. You're looking for the guys that are the mainstays of that team that you know are of a level they could play in a better league, maybe like the English one. I think when you look at these guys, they need a manager of a certain level to come in that can show them their career's still going in the right direction, can be a proper coach. But I think Rodgers would do a good job, to be honest. I'm not going to be petty about it. I think he would do well. Do you think he's the only option we should consider, though? Absolutely not. I think, the likes of Graham Potter's getting a mention there from Irish Rebel, and I think Potter's another one. I mean, you look at what he did with the Swedish side. Went toe-to-toe with Arsenal and stuff like that. They don't beat Galatasaray or something in Turkey. So I might have made that up as well. I just make stuff up and just try to sound convincing, Connor. That's what I do. But I'm sure they did something like that anyway. There's another name. There's big capital letters coming in from Martin MB12. Jeez, well, Martin, don't shout at me, mate. He says, thoughts on Moyes? CamRob95, that he wants the Bodo Glint manager, Knutson. See, when you actually look at that list, imagine that was the short list we had. Moyes, Rodgers, Knutson, and Graham Potter. It's not the worst place to start, is it?
No, it's very much more. There's a lot more there to be happy about and to be, looking forward to than what the list was before Ange came in. When Howe dropped out. But yeah, I think my top three are probably Rodgers, Potter, and Knutson. But I think Knutson's getting courted by Ajax. I'm not 100% sure about that. But yeah, I don't know about Moyes. He's got to a Conference League final, but West Ham ain't had the best season. Knutson. I don't know much about him.
Do very good. Moyes would
I
do
could
very
do
good. Trust
well.
me.
I think he'd do well. Just I don't know. He's very much an unknown, thing for me. I don't really pay much attention to a lot of the English Prem, But yeah, Knutson obviously he did very well with Bodo Glimt and absolutely pumped us. So he can get a result against a Scottish side, and look, he absolutely decimated Jose Mourinho's Roma as well. And look, whether you like him, whether you're not, one thing Jose Mourinho's sides can do is they can defend. So that's a scalp and a half as well. But yeah, I don't know if he's maybe just out of reach now. Graham Potter, yes, I'd be very happy with that. Obviously sacked at Chelsea, but did very, very well at Brighton as well. Just before that, people were saying that the only reason he did well at Brighton was because of the backroom staff.
No.
Now, I don't know if these people have been drinking for the same coffee cup as Michael Beale, who think that the backroom staff do everything when there's managers in charge. But
well, what about that? What about that as a wee talking point? Well, you just led me quite nicely into that, because there's obviously a narrative that Rangers, and to an extent maybe they did. I think they won their last derby against Rodgers before he left.
Yes.
Am I right in thinking that? And I think Mickey Beale obviously been the mastermind behind all things good at Rangers during that time, and takes no responsibility for the fact they only won 1 trophy out of 9. But of course, all things good he takes credit for. Do you think he would be licking his lips at the prospect of going toe-to-toe with Rodgers if he does feel he's got his number, or he has sussed him out, as being suggested in the comments as well? Or do you actually think it adds a bit of spice? Let's just indulge like the idiot's Rodgers, right? And of course, it could be miles off. But if he were to come in, would that maybe not be something that would motivate Regan Brendan a wee bit more, going, this wee cheeky cunt, so he came up here and he started speaking as if he's going to ruled the roost when I was there last time. Let's go back to school, young man. I think it might be a wee bit quite interesting subplot between the two managers if it were to be Rodgers.
I know Andrew was talking about Instagram quite a lot. Well, I'm telling you, Brendan's been at quite a lot of Celtic games, and I'm sure he's been speaking to a lot of people, and I'm sure they've been telling him that Michael Beale likes to talk a lot. So I'm sure Brendan would have a few tricks up his sleeve to deal with Michael Beale. But yeah, I think that in terms of that game that Steven Gerrard won, it was at the end of the season when Celtic already won the league again. So if Rangers want to claim that, Michael Beale and Steven Gerrard want to claim that, then fair enough. But no, I think Brendan had a fantastic record against Rangers. Brendan Rodgers has a great record against Rangers, so I think he'd be a great shout. And I think in terms of what I was saying earlier, I think, see that Celtic board, they need somebody that's going to challenge them as well, because we don't want somebody in the boardroom that goes, I'm just happy to be Celtic manager. We want somebody that's pushing the board every single day to try and improve this club. Because I don't know how many times I've been on this bus, Russell, but every time we always say trebles are great, but we want to improve in Europe as well.
Well, we do, and we've got to have our eyes on that as well. It'll be interesting to see what we decide to do. In terms of future appointments, I think it'll be an exciting summer discussing it all. And right now we're obviously, names are just getting thrown about left, right and centre. I don't know what they're talking about in the live chat. Wrong. They beat us in the middle of the season at Celtic Park. I don't know if David's replying to me or not. I don't know. I was sure that Rangers won at Ibrox before Rodgers left. If he's not replying to me, I don't know. But yeah, we've got domestic competition still. But I think once that itch is scratched, Connor, Regan's right. The focus has to be on Europe. And if Celtic show they've got a focus on European affairs, I think that will help attract a better manager, because that's what they're going to be wanting to use as their measuring yardstick. And I think what we also have to say is, when Ange gets that Spurs job, whether we like it or whether we don't, that makes the Celtic job a wee bit more attractive too. The fact all you've done is win 2 points in the Champions League, right? You went out the Europa League the year before, you went out the Champions League qualifiers, you went out the Europa League, and you went out the Conference League. The next year, you got 2 points in the group. But by just winning a domestic treble, you've managed to get what would be classed as normally a top 6 English job. I think that, if I'm honest, and I know if folk will go, that takes us back to Stepping Stone FC. Maybe we need to accept the 2-year cycles, maybe 3 years max cycles for management. But I wonder if Rodgers getting Postecoglou, I've got Rodgers in the brain now. Postecoglou potentially getting the Spurs job, which looks likely. Does that make the Celtic job actually a bit more attractive, Connor, in a weird way?
Yeah, because obviously I didn't know how. Well, we all rated Postecoglou very, very highly, obviously, after he showed what he could do and what he's done. But then you thought, everybody was thinking in their head, one more season, he has another crack at the Champions League, and he can win like another treble, and then he can move on. He'll get a big job then. He'll get a really big job down in England. That's, the final hurdle before he can move on to the next stage of his career. And it turns out it was also before that. So they're obviously paying attention. And yet there's a lot of managers out there who have either been here before, whether it's Brendan or, haven't been here, who are obviously want to play at that league, because it is the most watched and the highest paying, with the most money league in the world, whether whether you like it or not. But yeah, the only thing I'll say is with Postecoglou leaving, obviously we don't know what's going behind the scenes. Could there be a case to suggest that the board weren't all that bothered about focusing on Europe, and that's why he's decided to leave, and he's maybe right, I'm just going to pastures greener now to a club with more money, who, if I have a good season and we do get into Europe, they'll definitely back me then, because, let's not beat about the bush. He had an absolutely amazing first season, and then what did he get given the next transfer window? He signed Jota and CCB, but they were already pretty much a done deal. He got Aaron Moy and Abelgard in, and Haksabanovic. Bernabei. It's no setting the header. Do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of like, that's almost as bad as one of the fucking windows Lenny had in his last season. Do you know what I mean? If you want to break it down that way.
If you want to talk though about they only have an eye on domestic stuff, that's because if you want to make the next inroads in Europe, Regan, that requires one thing, and that means a different level of investment in the first team squad than what we're accustomed to. And that is why it suits the board to be focused on treble winners again, back-to-back titles. Keep all the focus on the domestic stuff. But that's the end of the day. We did the trophy day, not weekend there, the weekend before. Champions League music they played over that PA. And that is all PR to get guys to buy into it. And really, if they're all in, as they say, then we need to see that attitude in terms of the recruitment process this year.
I think that's spot on.
We're actually serious about it.
I think that's spot on, because think about it, back in 2003, how we spent that same money on Bobo Baldi that we're spending now. So I think you need to look at yourself and go, if we're still spending the record in 2003, £3 million, and we're still scared to spend that on players now. I'm speaking to Celtic fans daily, and they're scared to spend money. Why are you scared to spend money? Celtic have got loads of money in the bank. They're not going to go bust. Come on, spend the money and go and make the fans enjoyable. Because like Mark says, Mark's a season ticket holder, and Mark doesn't go to the European games because he knows that basically Celtic are just there to enjoy themselves, basically. And what we want to do as supporters is go along there and say, right, we've got quite a few players in our park that can score and do well. We want to go along to Celtic Park and play absolutely brilliant football. We don't want to go along there and go, Modric said Celtic Park's a great place to play. Look at Iniesta, he said it's fantastic. So did Messi. I'm sick of hearing that every single year, because I think it's time that the Celtic added to a big club. And I think this next managerial appointment will tell us everything about where Celtic are going as a club. It will, because either if you're going to be serious about it, you go and get Brendan. But if you're no, you're probably going to go low on your shopping list, because I think Brendan will be serious, David Moyes will be serious, and I'm not so sure about this Bodo Glynn guy, but yeah, I'm just looking forward to see where the club go, because I think it's so important. One thing I wanted to ask you, Russell and Connor, what do you make of John Kennedy possibly going? I've heard that's the one stumbling block. Why Ange's not been announced so far to his first job?
What John Kennedy, what Ange wants to take with him?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So is John Kennedy not sure, or what do you mean?
No,
I don't know yet.
So it's supposed to be that Celtic want compensation for John Kennedy. That's why. So Ange's already signed. So Ange's already signed as Spurs manager, but it's a case of Ange's waiting for the green light for Celtic to allow John Kennedy to join him.
Oh, I've got no insight on that at all.
No. What I mean is, do you think it's a loss to Celtic, or are you okay with him going? Sorry.
I'm okay with Kennedy going. But, see, for me, whoever comes in, I think you need to remember how lucky we got, Connor, that Ange quite liked the fact he came in on his own. And he worked with new people, and whether he now likes them or not is irrelevant. I would like to think that whoever it is we give a job to as manager, we don't force the backroom staff on them again. I think that's an exception to the rule, that Ange thrived in that environment as opposed to being the norm. For me, I would like it to be whoever it is that's taken over to go, and I want X, Y, Z coming with me. Do you know what I mean? And joining to it. He's going to be first team coach. He's going to be, sports psychologist, sports scientist, all that sort of shit. I would rather the manager that we're appointing, if it is going to be one of, worth their salt, I would like to think they bring their own team in. And that's not being disrespectful to the turnaround we've seen. That obviously Kennedy, Strachan, and who's the other one?
Harry Kewell.
Harry Kewell, aye.
Not being disrespectful to what they've done. I just think it's important that whoever it is we're going for, we show that faith in them, and they come in with a plan, and they bring in their own guys. We show them that level of respect. I feel, and I certainly also fear, that if Celtic think what they did with Ange is how it normally will work, I think they'll get a bit of a fright, because that's not quite how it normally works. I think a manager coming in there, Connor, I think the thing was with Ange, he just had a list of players, right? So he liked the fact, and I kept saying this at the time, I think he liked the fact he came in up against it. I think he liked the fact he had to do all the recruitment himself. He wanted that autonomy, but he was able to almost style it as, he's left me a wee bit in the lurch here. Do you know what I mean? And whereas really I think it suited him fine. But if we're going to be appointing anyone of any sort of level, I would like to think they've got their own background team they'd be bringing in with them. And, and by the way, not disrespectful to John Kennedy, but John Kennedy's inclusion should not be dependent on whether you get the Celtic job or not. Let's get that fucking right. See, when people go, no one bigger than the club, but that's got to be consistent throughout.
Yeah. Well, I like Kennedy as much, because I think he has a good coach, and he's obviously worked under multiple managers, including Rodgers, and they all seem to like him really, really well, and he is highly rated within the game, especially in Scotland. I feel like he also needs to move on as well for his own sake. I thought he was going to move on to try management, because he took Celtic over for 10 games. Well, it didn't work out. Yes, that's not to say he couldn't go and take over from someone else and do a very good job.
He was hopeless.
I know, but look, 10 games doesn't make or break a manager, and especially when you're just starting out. So you could go to somebody and do not bad. I'm not suggesting it's us for a start. No chance. But yeah, we kind of need to. It's not like tearing it all up at the root again and doing like another rebuild. That's not what we need to get. That's not what's happening. But you look at the thing with Howe. Look how well Eddie Howe's done with Newcastle, right? And look, to be fair, they're now the richest fucking club in the Prem, right? And they are pumped full of money. But it's still Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? And Eddie Howe's done a fantastic job with them, and he wanted to bring in his backroom staff, and obviously Celtic told him no, or didn't allow that to happen. Because I don't know what the structural change would have been, whether he was wanting to change all of it. And Celtic were wanting a little bit of consistency to try and steady the ship from the season carrying over from the shit one to it being a good one. Hopefully, that's probably what they were thinking. But, we've seen what happened with Howe not bringing his background staff, and he was just like, right, let me bring who I want in. Fuck you, see you later. I'm going to Newcastle to fucking earn an absolute wad of cash. So, yeah, it'll be very interesting in the coming days. Obviously, I seen someone put something on Twitter when all this was happening about Ange a couple of days ago, and folk were saying, let Dermot Desmond get his man. He'll sort it out. And I said, the last Dermot Desmond man was Lenny, and he fucked us for the 10 and did almost irreparable damage that season if it wasn't for Ange. So I said, the board are not to be trusted. I said, just because of a good couple of seasons doesn't mean you can take your eye off them. You can't take your eye off them for a minute with this board, because while they like coming out to lap up the praise and, oh, you've done very well. Well, that was us, by the way. That was us giving Ange the money and bringing him in. He was always one of our top picks, when the truth is he was probably about 5th or 6th on the list when they came in. They were very much good at, making things seem as if they were the ones who are the architects of it, when they had, not much to do with it. So we'll have to just wait and see, but I don't trust them for a minute. I think we've all got good reasons not to. I hope they prove me wrong, but, it's all very much up in the air at the moment. So yeah, we'll have to just wait and see.
Regan, Alfred comes in, big friend of the show. Good to see you, Alfred.
Good to see you, Alfred.
We've been out for beers, Alfred, before, haven't we, Regan? If you
Aye.
remember. Aye. And do you think the next manager will be offered an actual deal or a rolling contract?
I'm not sure, because I think they might have looked at Postecoglou and said that's probably the best way to go with the Celtic board. But I think if the Celtic board do their business properly, I think they need to get their manager tied up in a longer deal, the way they did with the way they did with Brendan Rodgers. But I think the one caveat that I think you mentioned it yesterday, Russell, that as much as Celtic like to try and play us on this, no reason Celtic didn't offer Ange a bigger contract in his first stint as manager was because they didn't know what they were getting in for. But then as soon as Ange was getting success, that's when they should have done it. Russell, see last season when he got the 2 trophies, they should have went, right, Ange, 4-year contract. But then Ange's probably said, no, well, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I think they've offered. I think they've definitely offered, because if you look at when Rodgers joined, he was also on a rolling deal. And then after that first invincible treble, they secured that shit. So I would imagine they would have tried to do the same thing with Ange. But Ange is the gift, Regan, to go, hold on now. I would have signed a 4-year deal when you first approached me. I don't think I'm good enough now for it once I've brought you success,
Do you think as soon as Ange's not back that new contract, the board kind of thought, oh, Ange's maybe looking for his next move?
Well, this is the thing, though, because then you are really in, and I think people have coined the term in the live chat today, you are at Groundhog Day FC. Because if you're going to keep using the excuse, we knew the manager was going to be leaving soon, not to back and invest in the first team, it might sound like a perfect oven-ready excuse, Regan, not to invest.
Yes.
But the point of the matter is, if you keep finding an excuse not to invest, you're just going round and round in circles. You're never evolving. You're going to have a leap of faith at some point.
Yeah, but and I think something like Ange Postecoglou, Brendan Rodgers, they can earn that trust because they've got the trophies to back it up. They've got the and they've got the recruitment rate on the transfer market as well. I think that's why it's important for Celtic to go into this market and go, right, this next manager, we're going to bring you in, but also we're going to back you. So when you get in this club, they're going to have full support to bring in whoever you want. And we're going to back you to the full because we want to see Celtic progress. Because, see, to be honest, Russell, it's all about what the Celtic board want for this club. Because we all know that Celtic will sell out these packages. Like you said, they'll play the Champions League music at Celtic Park on the trophy day. But it's all about making sure you've got the players in the park to, to, to do very well on that stage. Because there's no point putting Moy out there and putting Bernabei if Taylor's injured, because that's no what we want to see.
Yeah.
We want to see Celtic doing well. I don't know if you called Talk Sport this morning, Russell, but a Celtic fan was on talk. A Celtic fan was on talking about that they outplayed Real Madrid for the first half, and Martin Keown was saying Scottish football rubbish that his son played up there, stuff like that, and I was like, well, see. I think Martin Keown forgets that Wenger was deployed from Japan as well. So I think in terms of the next manager, we just need to go in.
He should know better.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, and I don't know if it's a case that possibly they always talk about the financial, but I think for Celtic's point of view, we just want to have belief that every single season this club moves forward, Russell.
Well, that's what we hope. But one positive bit of news, David Kelly's worried about Andrew's done a runner and left us with Aaron Moy. I think we can safely say that experiment will have been put to bed this summer. And the 3 months that Aaron Moy looked untouchable, we will sort of remember for the next 5 minutes, and then he will be past tense, I am sure. So there's always a silver lining and all that, which I think.
I just hope you've got the top still there, Russell, because I want you to have it on next season.
No, mate, no. Once Moy leaves, that'll be me. I'll be burning it, mate. Absolutely, I'll be devastated. Anyway, it's been a great wee afternoon having Regan and Connor on. This obviously is, as they call it, developing the story. So expect the bus to be pretty lively this week. We'll be doing shows every single day, trying to keep you up to date with where this madness will take us. And I know right now there's going to be a lot of gossip, there'll be a lot of worry, there'll be a lot of emotion involved. The live chat today, that was great. Just amazing to see so many passionate Celtic fans sharing their views and having completely conflicting views. It's all done with a level of respect on the bus, and I appreciate you doing that. Thanks, and keep bringing in your brilliant comments over the next few shows. Connor, Regan, that's me out, mate, because Ange stopped.